even mean, you know.
We're not going to your sister's day. She's going to her parents-in-law.
Hey everyone.
We're outside. Okay.
We're live.
We're live. We are
Morning.
live. We have an audience today.
Yeah.
Woo!
My children.
Hey.
Michaela, Micaiah.
We're gonna clap for you.
Our producer Megan's back.
So excited. Yeah. Show's finally gonna.
Now we're really gonna take off.
Yeah. Stay on schedule.
Things are looking up this time.
Oh, I get to jump on. Here.
Let's see. There we go. Morning. I can't read that yet because it's too far away, but I'll look in a second here. The Shepherds. Morning. Good to see you guys. Morning, Hope. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
I was smart this time. I already had coffee. This is my second one.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah, I was like,
now you can take your time. I think I may have done that last week. I don't know.
Nothing
But
changed anything.
I also had a much larger cup last week. So
That's really the ticket, because then you feel like you're still just having one,
yeah.
even if it counts as like 3. How are you guys this morning? It's weird to have a live/comment conversation. This takes like 15-20 seconds for
Right.
to reply. Isaiah's on.
Isaiah, what's up, man? Yeah, even so it's interesting because is what you're seeing on that screen synced
That
up to
comes
what you're
first,
seeing?
then this comes. Yeah, so I can see something happens on there, and then I gotta
Yeah.
wait like
Okay, so the live comments come in there.
a lot faster,
So
a lot more live.
once we see it, then we kind of have to, I don't know, stall a little bit before we actually get the.
Isaiah liked your preaching, Pastor Will.
Oh man, thank you,
Right?
Isaiah. I appreciate that.
That's our last segment. Don't jump ahead, Isaiah.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that at some point today. But thank you, man. I really
My kids were so
appreciate
excited. Like as soon as you went up there, like Makai's like, Pastor Will, Pastor Will. We know, buddy. He's like, guys, did you see this?
Am I the only one seeing
He's
this
on
right
TV.
now?
This is crazy. What is going on?
Oh man, that's cool. I always say it's good to be seen. It's it's just cool. I wish I could see everyone
Right.
all the time, but it's also nice to let people know that I'm still alive. Things are still going well. So yeah, it was cool. It was a really whole service was really fun. I don't know that we'll get to this, so if we don't, I'll just say that I appreciated the communion from home.
That was fun.
It was so fun because like I saw obviously the video beforehand to kind of try to tie it into my message, and then actually participating in it during like the service was like it was just like really special because again like seeing you in like your like home and then my home, it just made such a cool like connection that made it seem like this is not so unorthodox, so
Which is, I mean, I don't think I ever would have thought about leading communion from my house. But
yeah.
This is where we are. It's different.
Yeah,
It's different
So-
circumstances.
it was cool.
My morning's been great, Isaiah. How's your morning been? I woke up, did some work, had coffee. Yeah. That's about it. The day is still young.
Yeah. My morning has been good too. I got a chance to get up and go on a morning prayer walk, which is something that I try to do every morning. It doesn't always happen, but most mornings it does, and I usually feel really good about the day if that does happen.
Yeah.
It's really funny though. This morning, Winston came in to my office as he always does and asked me, for breakfast. So it's like, all right, buddy, what do you want? He's like, dinosaur egg oatmeal. So it's like his thing. So I went to go-
That sounds amazing.
yeah, I went to go make the dinosaur egg oatmeal, and like I just grabbed the stuff, and I was like, I can make it like a really quick like TikTok video with like dinosaur egg oatmeal, right?
There you go.
So just turn this into like something fun, so like you get like some creative elements out of it.
So now you're starting to think like TikTok.
Yeah, it just like
That's cool.
it's just really like natural. I'm just like, oh, like this would be cool if I just did this something like really short and sweet and like, quick. So yeah, I just did it. So I posted it on my story this morning, but it was kind of funny because I made like his oatmeal and like I made the video, and then I like even included the video like his reactions, like the oatmeal, how like delicious it was, and he was like, it's too hot. That's the end of the video. So, and I put an ice cube in it and everything like he normally likes.
See?
But
Parenting skills right there, people.
he still said it was too hot. So
You can't win. It's either too hot, too cold.
yeah,
it's gonna be one or the other.
it's too hot, too cold. Like the bath water, I can never.
Right. Oh yeah.
I can never figure out like the right. I'm still working on my ratios for running bath water.
Yeah.
And I don't get it right hardly. And the other problem is like one of my sons likes it hot, the other one likes it cold.
That's the trick.
They bathe together.
Yeah.
So it's just like I can't win. You know?
We had to replace the shower head in the girls' bathroom because it was broken when we moved in. So I was looking at different ones, and there was one that had like LED lights that they changed the color based off the temperature. So like I think green was like, or blue was cold, green was warmer, red, orange, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like $15 more than the other one without that, so I got the one without that. Megan's like, that might be helpful. I'm like, yeah, but I'm cheap. So I'm gonna get that.
It's like
Morning, Gannon.
We have a lemonade stand for buying the LED.
I mean, Isaiah's already busting out with questions. It's not Q&A yet, Isaiah. Hold on to it.
Yeah.
Morning, Alyssa. Morning, Ethan. Morning, Ethan.
Hashtag.
Thank you.
No doubt. Yeah, that might be. I might start. The problem is I don't cook that much. I am like kind of responsible for breakfast. That's like my thing.
There you go.
But I don't really like go into like a super elaborate. Like yesterday we had like Go-Gurt and graham crackers.
That's still food.
And
Still counts.
And fruit. Like that was breakfast yesterday. So I can always use the cooking with Will. I might need to. I like the idea though of the hashtag.
I like it. Just this morning we're having Go-Gurt. Like cut off the top.
Yeah.
There you go. Breakfast is served.
TikTok video.
It's a really easy recipe. The family recipe that goes back. And when Go-Gurt was new, it was like amazing. I was so excited about it. But it's just yogurt in like a tube.
So I had sounds kind of weird, but I like trying like weird stuff. Like I'm the guy who goes into 7-Eleven and I'm just like, oh, that's new. Let me try it. You know,
There you go.
like whatever. Like
Yeah.
so stuff that's really new and random. So I don't know if you've seen like the Sour Patch Kids Go-Gurts.
I saw it, but that was too far for me.
Sounds so gross, but I'm intrigued.
Right.
So I've seen them like a bunch of times, and I had to wait until like I was hungry in order to purchase it. Because you know when you like are hungry, you do like some impulse purchases. Like, that sounds delicious right now, you know. So yeah, I had to wait till I was hungry to purchase it. But then I ate something, I never ate it. So long story short is I tried it. It actually wasn't bad. It was really like weird, you know, but it wasn't bad at all. And I don't know how.
Was it actually sour?
Yeah, it was actually sour. I don't know how sour and yogurt were. I promise you. I'll bring one next week. I promise you. Pastor Michael will try a Sour Patch Kid
on camera.
Go-Gurt on the morning ship so next week. But it wasn't that bad, honestly. And even William asked for one. I was like, I don't know, son. I haven't tested this yet. You know? Let me try it first
make sure it's safe
before you can eat one. So it wasn't that bad.
Interesting. I have a buddy that we like buy. For some reason, this thing started. We buy boxes of cereal for each other, like the random weird cereals. Because now so many cereals come out.
Yeah.
When we were kids, it wasn't that way. There was just cereal that was cereal.
Oh,
but now it's like you see all kinds of crazy cereals coming out. So I got him when he got me one back and forth. We got him Sour Patch cereal. He says basically Trix, but sour. And he said not good.
Not good. Yeah, no, I've seen like Jolly Rancher cereal recently.
There's a lot of weird ones.
And I'm just like, again, like it's that same idea of like, how do you mix like sour with? But for whatever reason, with the Sour Patch Kids, I think that it works. I don't know.
Was it sour like the candy sour, like really sour? It's kind of like a little bit of.
No, it was. You could definitely tell that it was like a Sour Patch Kid like.
That sounded more weird. I don't know.
But it wasn't like super sour like the.
I'm trying to talk myself into it being.
I can't even because you just wouldn't imagine, like your brain does not compute dairy and like sour
or
fruit
breakfast and
like,
sour.
Exactly. Not at all. I think that if you just don't think of it as Go-Gurt, then maybe like it tastes. I don't know. Maybe it's just different.
It's a mental game. That's the problem. That's it.
I was a skeptic, and now I'm a believer.
Just like that. There you go. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Have any of you tried Sour Patch breakfast of some sort? Yogurt, cereal,
something sour.
Gannon said Sour Patch gum. Now that I could get
That
behind.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, like when you think about like, you know, sometimes when people add fruit to yogurt, and sometimes the fruit could be
True.
like a little tart,
Yeah.
you know.
Grapefruit. And, yeah. All right.
So
It's not sounding as crazy.
I think that's what it is. It's like tart. That's
Okay.
instead of thinking of like
So that's
sour
framing it
like
much different,
candy,
yeah.
like you use the word
Tart
like
works.
tart. Yeah, you kind of again it frames in your mind a little differently. Again,
Perspective.
It's interesting how it works.
So much of things are perspective.
Anything new with you?
Not much. I mean, it's feeling more like closer to summer. I don't know what summer really feels like here, but it's feeling warmer. And I got sunburned because I was not doing yard work and already got sunburned. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a big thing for the last week. Yeah.
Yeah, that the heat is definitely kicking up, and it's wild how it's already. Every year, I just feel like I say this though, that like, man, it's already hot. You know?
So what is normal? Like, when does summer normally start? Like normal ballpark, like May. Is it usually earlier? Is it usually
What
in
do you guys
April?
think? I don't know.
Because like for us back home, it would be May would be even like still a little bit of rain. Like we would usually do our last like fire in our wood stove in May,
Yeah.
and then it would just kick right into summer. Like all of a sudden you'd be 90s and it would pretty much stay there.
I'd be interested to hear you guys' comments. One of the like running jokes between like me and like my friends and like the circle of people that I run in is that like we don't get 4 seasons in Fresno. We get
Seems accurate.
winter and summer. We get like a week of spring and then
then
like that's it.
Fall, the leaves just fall off the
It
tree.
just feels like my wife and I were joking like April showers bring May flowers. Not in Fresno. It hardly ever rain. Like if we get like
Sprinklers bring the
yeah,
flowers.
sprinklers bring the flowers, and then it just like jumps into being really hot.
Well, that was another thing. So we never had a house that had like sprinklers. I mean, any kind of like greenery and stuff at our last house would just, there was water that came from the sky and
Right.
it would die over the summer and come back. That was pretty much it. But there's a sprinkler system here and it went on. So it's like automatic, obviously, but then we couldn't turn it off. So we like unplugged the thing. And we've never had sprinklers. So we don't know anything about how sprinklers work. We unplugged it like, oh, I should turn them off. They're still going.
Right.
We took probably, I don't know. I mean, it was a long time of water just out there, like puddles. And I know there's like water rules around here. Like we're going to go to jail over this. I don't know what's going to happen. Run around the house like flipping things. I'm like, what does this do? Like, too much water. Eventually I was like turning some random little knob things I found outside. Eventually it went off, but it was hours of going. So we have since not tried the sprinklers again because we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's kind of interesting. The same similar thing happened to me when we bought our first house. Like trying to figure out the sprinkler system, it's very complex.
It was not as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I guess you just never really think of it. It's just one of those things that you never really think about until you have it, right?
Yeah.
Or like until you're going through it. But
And it was all like set up with timers and everything. Oh, great. We don't have to do anything. Like they already know what they're doing. They're their plants. They must have it set. No.
Right.
It was not set the way I expected it to be.
I will say this: when are you? And I know we're going to get to the sermon recap, but when are you scheduled to preach next? You know?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
Everything right now is so. Someone just asked me the other day, like, what's the plan for summer? I'm like, I don't know.
One day at a time,
Yeah.
folks.
We'll come up with something.
If the Lord delays his coming,
We will see
we will
what
see
each day brings. Things happen. There was like the normal like plan, and then we can't even like have plan B because we don't even know the parameters of plan B.
No.
It's like everything's back to normal. Well, we got plan A,
Yeah.
but outside of that, it's like I don't know.
I feel like we're in like the writer's room of like a TV show
That is awesome.
trying to figure out
That is
like
good.
what is going to work.
And there's like throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
What about this?
What about this? What about this? Did you hear about the
space?
murder hornets? Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah.
Yes, this is the thing
Yesterday.
now.
Yeah.
So if a global pandemic wasn't enough, there are now like giant hornets, which aren't down here yet. I heard they're like in
in
Washington,
Washington, yeah.
which we have. Megan has family up there, so we'll ask them. But they're literally called murder hornets. So there's something to look forward to.
I can't remember where they came from. I feel like somewhere in Asia.
I can't remember. I don't know if they said exactly where, but yeah, somewhere.
And they're
Somehow they
saying-
made it to Canada.
They're saying that they killed 50 people a year. Somebody want to look that up?
Yeah, that sounds crazy. And they are just
50 people a year. And
terrifying looking.
They're 5 times bigger than bees.
And like this article we were reading was like talking about how they first found them, I think in Canada maybe, because there was like a beehive with like a bunch of bees, like with their heads ripped off or something. Like that is a crazy hornet. That is a vengeful hornet. Serial killer hornet going on.
Yeah. The reason why, well, one of the reasons why I asked is because as we've got like the setup here, it's similar to kind of like how like church is set up, where we're talking we're specifically like looking at you and talking to this camera. And you guys can't see it, but in the background of what's happening, like over here, like Megan and the kids are outside like playing. And, you know, we're looking here at the camera, but like there's
We
these
can
things
see
happening
this.
in our peripheral vision, and trying not to get distracted by like what's happening. It's very similar to how preaching is at campus.
I can
now.
see that.
Like,
Staring at the camera.
especially when, you know, like the worship team gets ready and they like start moving towards
Right.
the stage, and you're just, like,
Focus,
looking here.
focus.
There's all this stuff like happening on like the side of you, and so it's
Especially because like one of the things you learn to do when you're talking to a group is like make sure you like, you know, pan the room, look at everybody, like
Right.
try to interact and like make eye contact.
right.
When there's just a camera, it's like you can't do any of that.
Right, exactly. It's really hard not to, and it's so interesting because, like you said, like people when you're learning, you know, public speaking and things like that, you learn how to interact with like things that are happening around you, like engage with like some of those things, like not let them, you know, kind of take you off of like guard or distract you. And specifically, you never like would just stare at one thing
And ignore everything happening.
ignore
Yeah.
everything happening around you, because that would be awkward and weird. And
Right.
yet, like now, this is the exact opposite.
Everything's
like,
thrown
everything that you forget everything that you've learned. We need to do something new.
Preaching
So,
in a time of COVID.
yeah, I was just gonna say that if you're going up anytime soon, then just do this a bunch of
Do
times.
that.
Just prepare yourself. Yeah, just like literally like have your children set some things on fire outside,
That works.
and then just stare at the camera and just ignore it.
I feel like it's like every
That's
Wednesday
how you
night
can
that I'm
practice.
teaching. There's like things happening all over, and I'm just like nail in, focus.
That's how you can practice. Yeah.
I was even saying it was either last week or the week before, because normally like what I set up on Wednesday, like I have this right in front of me, like on a ladder that I have, and put it right there. And I was mentioning as I was talking, like, you know, someday I hope to actually talk to you guys rather than a computer on a ladder.
Right.
And I forget who, but one of you guys maybe was one of the ones, but mentioned like, oh yeah, forget you can't see us. Nope, staring at a computer on a ladder.
Yeah, I feel like how like Paul's like, man, I can't wait to see you guys, or like looking forward to
Mhm.
being able to, you know, spend time with you. Like that's what I feel like these like videos are like
Totally.
epistles, you know, not
In the
in the
common
sense that
That we have anything to
we
say.
have super deep or worthy of putting
The
in
same
Bible.
heart behind it. Yeah, totally. We just miss you guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Candace says, don't look at the ceiling. Yeah, that's it. Although sometimes like the light, I have a light right up there. Kids like mess with that sometimes. There's like a remote for it to like flash it on and off. Trying to get my attention like while I'm talking. I'm like, not helpful. 5-minute warning, Dad. Come on.
It's like-
Wrap it up. Oh, and Ethan said seniors will be in college in June. It's true. I mean, technically you'll be out of high school, but you're like in like the no man's land. You know, because you're not college until college starts, are you? Are you technically already? Once you graduate from one thing, I guess you do go to the next thing, right?
Yeah, no,
That makes sense.
That's kind of
Never thought of it that way.
That's kind of we had talked about that a little bit, and this is just, you know, kind of a campus thing that the first Sunday in June is promotion Sunday typically, and that's usually when like 6th grade goes to 7th, 8th grade goes to 9th, 12th goes to like college. Like once that Sunday happens and officially you're in whatever the next.
Actually makes sense because in
Yeah.
life there really is no like transitory period.
Right,
It's like,
yeah, it's like when do
boom.
we, you know,
you are now this.
yeah. So it makes again it kind of makes sense.
Interesting. Summer classes. Good point, Ethan. That's very true.
Oh yeah, and you've already you're already registered for
You guys are
you know
like-
where you're going typically, and yeah, you
I
could-
was normally not.
you could yeah no.
I always sign up for
I wish-
classes like a week after they started. Can I get in this one still? The registrar
I'm
knew
just
me
gonna
and
sit
made
in
it very
and wait.
well.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait. Somebody's gonna drop this class.
We were friends with the professors though, so it actually worked out. Because we'd be like, hey, can I go like, take your class still? Like, yeah, you're fine.
I know somebody's gonna drop this.
Yeah. Sat on the floor once for a while.
For sure.
Guilt
Yeah.
someone out of it. Like, come on.
Yeah, I did that with one of my professors too. Like, hey, like Consolati, come on now. Like,
Come on.
Yeah.
Got room?
yeah, you know how well you know like so. Yeah, I luckily got a chance to get into a class that I needed to get into.
Yeah, that was always the trick. The ones that you really needed. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a little this or that. This is another new segment we're going to try out, guys. We have some things that we're going to say the things, this or that, and then you at home playing along, you pick the thing. I have some ready. You have some ready?
I do.
All right.
I've got a bunch.
Kick it off.
I've got a bunch.
Go for it.
Okay, so I have to give like a little segue for mine though. So there's this game that Jelly Belly, the company, it's put out
Okay.
called Bean Boozled.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah, exactly. You know where I'm going with this. Some of you may have seen it if you follow me on Instagram. Actually, no, I haven't posted on Instagram yet. If you follow me on TikTok, some of you may have seen it. But basically, it's like these jelly beans. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 10 different flavors, and all of them have 2 different types of beans. 2 different flavors of beans that look exactly the same.
Yeah, identical look.
So they look exactly the same. You spin the spinner, whatever it lands on, you have to grab like that bean, you put it in your mouth, and it could be
Which if you get the good one,
good,
it's great.
or it could
Yeah.
be
Or it could
bad.
be horrible.
Right.
And I mean
So-
horrible, guys.
Yeah.
You have not
Yeah,
seen this
so-
or played this?
I'm gonna ask a couple of questions because I just want to know what you guys think. So the first one is, which is the worst? So this or that. The first is coconut spoiled milk
It's pretty bad.
or buttered popcorn and rotten egg. Which is the worst? This or that? Coconut and spoiled milk, buttered popcorn and rotten egg.
All right,
What do you
send
guys
us your
think?
answers.
Which is
Coconut
the
spoiled
worst?
milk or buttered popcorn, rotten eggs. The
Which is
buttered
the
popcorn
worst?
by itself, I actually don't like that one.
That's the thing.
So just that, I'm like, no. But then you add a rotten egg.
That's the thing. And for me, like, I cannot stand the taste of coconut.
And I hate coconut too. So those
Like-
are both.
And
Pretty
then,
rough
and then
options.
spoiled milk, So
We got 2 votes already for buttered popcorn, rotten egg. Yeah, I think that would the rotten egg part is the part that really
it's
kicks it up. Because I hate coconut.
yeah.
Ethan says avoid the game. Yeah. Spoiled milk from Gannon. So Gannon would go for the buttered popcorn, rotten egg one.
Yeah.
See, I can picture in my head spoiled milk, but I can't picture coconut spoiled milk. Because I never even had coconut milk because I don't like coconut for one. And then what happens when it spoils? I mean, it just obviously gets worse, but
Coconut, spoiled milk, or buttered popcorn.
no, Gannon, you have to pick this or that. He said I didn't say that, but he'd rather have that one. You gotta have one or the other.
I just want to know which one is worse. Like, which one in your mind would be like, if you had to play this game and you were like, there's one. I mean, I think that the 2 that I picked, I can go through the whole list if you guys want, but the 2 that I picked, I think, are the absolute like worst
It sounds pretty rough.
of the 10 flavors. I think the 2 that are like by far the ones that you absolutely don't want. So
Derek says rotten egg also. Hopes that she refuses to play the game.
Yeah.
Gannon says that he has not, probably will not play that game. So it's probably a good call.
yeah.
I would just we used to do that with regular Jelly Bellies because there's like only a handful of flavors that I would like. So we would just like grab some and then eat them and see what you got.
Yeah.
And it was like a very mild version of that. But this game
is extreme.
so much worse.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my my brother and I played. We took 3 turns. He got. So I'll just read all of the flavors because we can move on to a different this or that after this. It's the other ones are toasted marshmallow and stink bug. That's the one that I got. That was the first one that I landed on.
What'd you end up getting?
I got stink
Oh
bug.
man,
It was disgusting. Birthday cake and dirty dishwater.
Oh.
I also landed on that, and I got birthday cake.
Okay.
Blueberry and toothpaste.
Yeah.
My wife wanted to just try the game out, so she grabbed a blue one. She got toothpaste. She's like,
Tried
"That's
it
not
once.
bad, but it's
Yeah,
not
toothpaste
good."
I feel like would probably be the least worst.
Right, that's what I was.
I don't
thinking.
want it, but
I was thinking if there's one that's like the best in here, it's probably blueberry toothpaste.
Okay.
I have to think that
Yeah.
it's the best one. So the other one is peach and barf. Right.
mm,
My brother got that one. He ate peach, which was nice. Chocolate pudding and canned dog food, juicy pear and booger. Both of us tried that. Both of us got booger. It was not good.
that's that. Yeah.
Coconut, spoiled milk, tutti frutti, and stinky socks. I got that one, and I got the tutti frutti. It was nice. And then strawberry, banana, and dead fish.
Man, yeah, those are tough.
Yeah,
Those are
yeah. Not a. I mean, it's a funny game. Like
funny to watch.
play. Yeah,
I will say that.
Yeah. If you guys again, if you're on Instagram, I'll put the videos on Instagram because I haven't put them all up on Instagram yet, but also they're on TikTok. But it was fun. It was funny to watch. The reason why we played was because I was just talking about how I was comparing it to like false teachers and how Jesus says that like they will look like sheaves, but they will ultimately be wolves.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
good.
like their appearance is super deceiving. So the things you consume, you have to be careful with.
Very
and so-
true, especially when it comes to that game. I always imagine that like the person who is testing this out. Like it doesn't quite taste enough like dirty dish soap. Like a little bit more of what, it's picturing that to me. A bunch of scientists like a lab coats. And like, yes, that tastes just like boogers. Excellence. Well done. That's what we do for a job.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. And then the thing is, like, when I'm looking at these, I'm like, how could you possibly get something to taste like a stink bug?
Mm-hmm.
And then
you have to taste the stink bug first and be like, no, not quite. Like, they're sitting there eating stink bugs.
and they're like, yeah, this is it.
You got it. You nailed it. Yeah,
You
perfect.
nailed it.
We got it. Science.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Man. Gannon wonders if those are natural flavors. I don't know. Derek got skunk spray one time. That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Just all around, just horrible. Just horrible. All right, I got one. How about this one? So I'm wondering, Will and I had this discussion. I can't remember if we had it on the air or not, but we were talking about hot coffee and cold coffee. So in general, what are you? And now again, so if you don't like coffee, then hot tea or iced tea. If you don't like that, well, I don't know, because there's really no other options. That hot chocolate or chocolate milk. I don't know. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Hot or cold beverages. What are you looking for here? And we're talking like in general. So for me, year round, hot coffee. Even when it's hot, I still want hot coffee. I'll drink iced coffee, but hot. I always prefer hot.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Ethan likes water. Hot or cold? I know. I think I mentioned this. I had a friend who would just drink hot water.
Yeah, that's hot water is interesting.
Just hot water. Yeah.
I drink room temperature water, except in Fresno's summers.
Yeah.
I'm forced to drink cold water.
Then you have to at
But
that point.
typically, I just like room temperature water. I'm okay with it.
Paul or some of the shepherds say cold, ice water, cold water all year round. So even water, yeah, room temperature is what I go for. I don't want cold.
Yeah.
Like even out of the fridge, I'm like, it's a little too cold. Like, I wish it was a little more room temperature.
Makes my teeth hurt.
Yeah. Just, I can't really like drink a lot of it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I can't really drink a lot of, and I think that it may have had a combination of like growing up playing sports and then being in like the military. But like when I drink water, like I want I'm thirsty.
Right. You want to drink the water.
I want to drink it. Yeah. So like if it's cold, I can't drink a lot of it. I get brain freeze. So like cold, soda or like Gatorade or something, then I can do that because like I'm not like trying to just consume as much as I can or feel like I need right now. I'm just like trying to sip on it. But with water, I just
want a lot of water.
I want it as much of it as I can get at one time. And if it's too cold,
no,
brain freeze.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ethan says God isn't like lukewarm. We shouldn't either. Gannon says lukewarm now. You guys are bringing the spiritual in. All right, you got another one?
Yeah, I got another one. So
Get ready,
I answered this question recently. I'm interested to hear. And I had to think about it for like a long period of time. But would you rather, if you had to choose like this or that, would you choose appetizers or dessert? Now, I almost immediately thought about dessert just because like I kind of have a sweet tooth. But then I started thinking about some of my favorite appetizers, like when I go to restaurants. And I was just like, man, there's some places where I could care less about. And then the other thing is, especially at like restaurants, sometimes after I eat appetizers and eat my dinner, I don't even want dessert. Like I get to the point where I'm so like full. Like dessert looked great, but
they come around like really interesting dessert. I'm like, well, you could have like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, should have asked me that first.
Yeah. I would have signed up for it.
Can I get my Pizookie and then
now?
But yeah, no. So I flipped my original answer, which was dessert, to appetizers because I like dessert, I enjoy it, but I think I eat more appetizers and
I always err on the side of savory over sweet.
Yeah.
I like things that are sweet. Like I have desserts that are my favorites and stuff, but if I have a choice, always.
Yeah.
Yeah. Megan is the sweet. So like literally I always tell the story that when we were dating, one time we went out to like a cafe and she got a piece of chocolate cake for breakfast. It was like, get coffee. I got like a croissant. She's like, chocolate cake. I'm like, it's like 8 a.m. Nope. That's a normal thing to do for Megan.
It's funny because Starbucks sells like cake.
Right, which I always thought like that's weird. But no.
Your coffee, so
apparently there's some.
Yeah.
We got appetizers from Alyssa. popcorn for dessert from Gannon. Now I need more information on that.
Yeah.
Kettle corn, caramel corn, or like
You
actual?
putting like hot tamales in there, or like
Yeah.
pieces.
Are you making a dessert
You
popcorn?
drizzling it with some candy.
Something. Because
Yeah.
my kids do the same thing. Like, they'll say for dessert, can we have popcorn? I mean like butter popcorn. I don't think you understand what dessert means. But whatever works. Appetizers from the Shepherds, appetizers from Ethan.
Interesting.
Alyssa also doesn't really like sweets. Now I like sweets. It's just
Wow.
again, if I had a choice,
Yeah.
it was this or
You had
that.
to pick one. Savory would win. Yeah. it's
Just
really-
regular popcorn, Gannon says.
Hmm.
Ethan says Chinese food for dessert. I think you guys are misunderstanding.
Okay, somebody go Google the
Yeah.
definition of dessert and put it in the comments.
Maybe they're just
'cause
having
I need to.
more food
I
after
need to
food.
understand. More food after food is not the definition
It's not the same
of
thing.
dessert. I don't think. I watched Chopped, and I'm pretty sure
Right,
that
that's not.
I've never seen popcorn or Chinese food.
What about favorite dessert?
Oh man, I couldn't pick one. I don't think. Speaking of dessert, though, shout out to the Whitakers, Pat and J.R. Whitaker. They made the best peach cobbler that I've
Ooh.
ever had in my
There you go.
entire life last Monday, and dropped it off at our house. It was like, I mean, just wow. You know, it needs to be. You know, they need to be selling that peach cobbler for. I could have sold it for $5 a slice. That's how good it was.
That's a good markup right there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they made like a pallet. No.
They got a lot of slices out of that.
They made a big old tray. So my go-to, I don't want to say all-time favorite, but I have so many different. But one of my just like go-to desserts is Claim Jumpers Dutch apple pie,
Okay.
and with like vanilla ice
Good
cream.
stuff.
So you get it out of the frozen section, throw it in the oven. Then 15 minutes before it finished cooking, you put like the little crumbles on it, put it back in the oven. It's phenomenal. It's kind of a really nice, simple, but just like go-to, one of my favorites.
See, I don't like anything apple.
No,
I know.
Yeah.
Apple pie, apple cobbler, apple. I just don't.
no,
I know, and I want to because it's like that's like the American dessert.
yeah.
Everyone's always like, as American as apple pie. I'm like, dang it.
I was like, well,
But just and I think it's not for one. I don't even like sweets that much,
Right.
so it's not the kind of thing that people are like, oh, I'll eat anything that's sweet. I'm like, I'd rather not. But even like I like pie, peach pie, blueberry.
that's so weird.
Even
that you
cherry.
like peach and
Yeah.
not. I don't like cherry.
So I'll even do that. It's not like my favorite, but I will do pretty much any one before I would do apple.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
It's great.
See, do you not like apples in general?
Like I'll eat them, but I'll
Not-
probably eat any fruit before I would eat those. If there's a fruit buffet,
Not a fan.
it would be the last one I would choose. Hope says apple desserts are so good. I don't know, people like them. Like my dad's favorite thing is like apple pie. That's his go-to.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
I like weird desserts, like tiramisu, Italian dessert, That's a good one. or a French one, creme brulee. I like that. Those are like the kind of things. I think they're not super sweet. They're more like they're not savory because that'd be weird, but they're not like high on like the sweetness level. They're just kind of there. Yeah. So it's more my dessert speed, I guess.
So you probably like whipped cream frosting. versus
Yeah,
like-
yeah. Yeah, that's,
See?
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Apple pie, again, says is good.
Yeah.
Yellow cake with chocolate. That's my dad's favorite cake.
Let's go.
That's a good one. But
Let's
see,
go.
I go weird again there. I go chocolate cake with like a whipped cream frosting.
Yes.
It's my go-to.
No, not what he said. What he said, Ethan.
He agreed with me. You heard it.
Yellow cake with chocolate.
Now I will eat that, but the apple pie is usually I do not.
So my grandma, she used to make this thing, and we get it like only around the holidays, what she calls ghetto cake, and it's spice cake with like homemade caramel
I'm with you so far.
frosting.
Okay.
And so I don't know, and I don't even know exactly how you make like the caramel frosting, but it was really, 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 really good.
I go for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spice cake, homemade
Anything with caramel. I love caramel.
homemade
That's good
caramel
stuff right there.
icing. Yeah, I don't know how to make homemade caramel icing. I would try an attempt at the cake, but
One time on accident, we made Megan for like Christmas would make like homemade cinnamon rolls.
Mm.
So did it one time, and somehow I forget what happened, but we lost the recipe or something for like the icing.
Mhm.
And so we're like, well, we got to do something. So we just looked up randomly like caramel icing or topping or frosting or something, and we made it. It was so good.
really,
But now I don't know where we found that recipe either. So the internet's too big. I'll never find it again.
never find it again. You'll try to make it, and it'll never be the
No,
same.
exactly. It'll
Yeah.
be in my
Just
head.
don't
It'll
even-
always be
just
better.
don't even attempt.
Even if we found the same one in my head, I'm like, I don't think that's it. I think it's better.
Yeah, don't even attempt it. You
German
won't be able to
chocolate
create
cake. Now, Matt, that's the one with coconut, right? Because already then, if that's the case, I'm
you
out.
already lost me with the coconut.
Bundt cakes are good.
Oh,
Carrot
yeah.
cake, that's a dark horse option there, Alyssa. Carrot
Yeah.
cake,
Yeah.
German chocolate cake.
There's a place. I think it's just a local place. I don't know. Somebody can correct me if it's more than outside of Fresno, Clovis area, but it's called Nothing Bundt Cakes.
I've seen that somewhere. Yeah.
And they make you can get a big one. You can get like one that's like just for you. You can get like little mini like cupcake size
like
ones
popping
for
your
like
mouth.
kids. Yeah, and I don't know if they make them that small.
I could.
They have like carrot cake, red velvet chocolate.
Red velvet's one of my favorites.
They don't have yellow cake with chocolate icing. I think
Probably for a reason.
We need to suggest that. I think we need to make
One of our neighbors
recommendation.
brought us one of those, and it was chocolate with white frosting. See?
Mm.
Just saying,
Yeah.
Nothing
see,
Bundt Cakes
yeah.
has it as one of their options.
No, I think that they're missing out.
Matt says coconut caramel glaze on a chocolate bundt cake. See, the chocolate cake part, I'm there, but the coconut caramel glaze, I can't condone that.
Yeah, no, I think you just kind of missed me completely.
Yeah, coconut just, I've always wanted to like coconut because it looks like fun. Especially I remember distinctly this memory, very vividly, like in first grade, it was like coconut day for some reason. And they brought in coconuts, they were like cracking them in half and like eating the stuff from the inside, like coconut water, coconut milk. And I was just like, I kept trying, like, I want to be there. Everyone else was loving it.
Oh,
I just
man,
hated
do
it.
not be conformed to the things of this world.
Yeah, I tried. And I learned my lesson because every time I was like, maybe I'll like the coconut water. No! Maybe I'll like, no.
You know, like the coconut milk.
I kept trying different things. Maybe I'll like, no coconuts at all.
That's funny.
All right, how about this one? So remember this or that. So in general, what kind of person are you when it comes to like welcoming someone, saying hi to someone? And keep in mind, I'm talking like normal, so not just post coronavirus, because we're all going to be like missing each other, want to see each other. But in general, are you a hug person or a high five person? Those are the two options. Now, you might be like a handshake person, you might be neither. But if you had to do one, you're at some sort of place where everyone's doing one of these things. Are you high-fiving? Are you hugging? I already got a high five. 2 hugs. We had a guy that a friend of mine would like his thing at church wasn't like he would like greet people, but he wasn't like a shake hands greeter or a hug greeter. He just walked around high-fiving people. Just like the whole time, just walking around. Yeah. So you had to get like a high five from him. It was like, this made the day. Oh, interesting. Matt likes the idea of hugging, but usually goes for the handshake.
Huh.
High five from Ethan. Hug from Hope. Hug from Caitlin. Now, I have to admit, I'm not usually like I was never like a touchy person growing up. It was not like a normal thing for me. And then I met Megan, like the most huggy person in the world.
Full, yeah.
And like she was like, what was that cartoon? Do you ever watch Tiny Toons?
Yes.
Remember that cartoon?
Whatever cartoon you were gonna say.
There was one called
yes.
Tiny Toons. It was like Looney Tunes, but they were small. And there was this one character, I forget her name, like Elvira or Elvira or something. She would like
Elvira.
grab the bunnies and like squeeze them. That was like Megan to me. She just like always is like squeezing and grabbing. So she eventually won me over. But
Yeah.
before that, I would just like give her like a pat on the back, like, hey, how you doing? But you know,
Yeah.
once we were married, I got weird. Like, just, hey. Yeah.
Yeah, so I am I'm a hugging person. I don't know why I am. I always have been. I think that when I was growing up, I thought that it was kind of like awkward for like me to hug like my guy friends. So I never obviously hugged them. But then like when I got older, like, you know, I learned that that's not a problem at all.
Right,
That,
yeah.
like, men can embrace each other. Even in like some cultures, obviously like men hold hands, just like as, you know, signs of friendship. One of my friends who's from he's from the Congo and he grew up in like Cape Town. He like when he like needed like something from me, he would like literally like grab my hand and like take me somewhere. And I'm like, why are we holding hands right now? Like, this is so weird. But, you know, eventually I got over that. And I just like, that's how, you know, from a cultural perspective, like that's what they do. And there's like not that big a deal. There's nothing wrong with it. So, so yeah, I'm a like hugger. Typically I can tell usually like if somebody's not a hugger and like before like I go in for a hug and I can
If they're like backing away.
get a handshake. Or like there's a lot of times where I'll just offer like a little like side hug, you know, depending on how well I know the person. They just give you like the little, like, yeah, just get like that arm around each other. Like that's a little quick embrace that everybody, you know, most people are just comfortable with, you know. Where like I go in for like the handshake, and depending on if you like give me the handshake and I pull you in and give you a hug.
That's a good one. That's a good way to go.
Yeah, I've got a couple different techniques.
Yeah,
with the,
you got
the
to.
handshake, hug type of thing. Yeah, because you know a lot of people want to greet you and embrace you, and you got to learn different ways to do that. How people are comfortable. You never want to hug somebody who doesn't want to be hugged. Like that's
true. That's just,
especially as a pastor, like that's just like,
yeah.
it's not a good look.
It's not. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that one. That's a tricky one. Yeah, like in my family, like the Hammond guys, it's like this running joke, and it's a true thing. Like there's like a hug, and there's like 2 taps. So it's like that's the length of the hug. So every guy in the family is just like this thing that's all ingrained in us. None of us do it like purposefully, but it's like hug, tap, tap. All right, we're good.
That's
and you
cool.
break.
That's cool. I like that.
It's just kind of that's the unspoken thing.
I like.
And so anytime, like again, growing up, that like I would go to hug someone, like do the 2 taps, and they would still be hugging. I'm like, what do I do? I tapped. We're done.
Hey.
This is when we stop.
You know, hey, where's the ref? Like, I'm
Yeah.
like nobody's seeing this.
It's kind of funny, like you're talking like of a cultural thing, but even like in our families, there's like mini cultures.
Right.
So I remember even like going overseas, and like everyone else, almost but us, like talks really closer. So I remember like the first time I was like in Europe, and like they would come close, and I would like take a step back,
Right.
and then they would kind of
They'd
come
be
closer, and
closer.
take a step back. Like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's what's normal.
Yeah.
But like even in our families, we can have like little mini cultures of what's normal, what's what you grow up with, what you find. And like as you said, as you grow up, then it kind of becomes a little different. Like I never hugged any of my siblings growing up,
Right.
but now every time we see each other and like say goodbye, now we do because we're adults and we don't see each other as much.
Yeah.
Kind of changes over the years.
That's so interesting. I mean, even like, so what do you talking about like family cultures? Like, what do your kids do?
So because if it was just me like 15 years ago before I knew Megan, our family would have looked very different. But because of who Megan is as a very just like loving, hugging person, our family culture is very much more our kids hug, even like all the nieces and nephews, they all hug each other. And so it's very much like Megan won me over to her side and all that of touching people, which right now is not a very good idea. But
Yeah. It's I mean, we can talk about that for a while.
Air 5 people.
It's I don't know. It's so weird. I almost would rather just not see you than have to like do that awkward like, what do we do?
Yeah,
like,
this is
right now.
Like right before all this went down, I even like went to a meeting and there was like just a bunch of different area youth guys, and like we come in like, should we shake hands? Because we're all meeting each other. Like I don't know any of these guys. It's like, hi. Like this is even more awkward than it would normally be.
Like a teenager.
There's positive change happening. Ethan says, Matt, let's attempt to hug next time we see each other. Good job, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with correct social distancing, of course. I mean, obviously.
Hopefully the next time you see each other
will be after that.
It'll be after all the social distancing rules.
Yeah, exactly. And Gannon brings up a good point. So I would hug pretty much anyone. Hope it doesn't make them uncomfortable. What I've also noticed too is people that are just genuinely like loving in that kind of way. Most people, even like when I was growing up and was not a huggy person, you like are okay with it,
right?
Because you know they're not like nefarious or anything. They're just saying hi. They're expressing themselves.
Yeah, man. Like
I never held it against anyone.
Like they're like, so when I do Saturday sports, some of you guys know this from some of your trips to Biola, but like young like kids, when they are just like when someone is just genuinely like excited to see you and like wants to greet you, it's almost like there's no greeting that's like wrong or inappropriate. It's just like, oh, like this is like real and genuine. And so you 100% would be so open to somebody running up to you and just like being super excited to see you. And so I just think that everybody would be open to receiving that type of greeting. I think
especially like in our setting too, like with the church setting, there's nobody that I want to, even strangers, because they're all like, we're all family. There's no one I would be like, I don't want to hug you.
Yeah.
So I think it changes too with just like context even. Like a stranger on the street, some guy walked up, I mean, I'd probably be like, okay, having a good day there, buddy? Like, what's going on? But in general, people that you have some sort of connection with, this is probably a hugging app out there. I think that might defeat the purpose, but there probably is. There probably is.
Send hugging GIFs.
There you go. That could work. A little emoji. Little guy with hugging. All right, guys. Well, we promised we would do some Q&A, so let's do it. What do you guys got? What questions do you have for us? Questions about anything? Questions about us? Questions about the word? Questions about, I don't know, other things? I think way back near the start, Isaiah was already ready with a question.
Yeah.
He said, if you would be able to go back in time, when and why? So while you guys send us some questions, let's think about that one. If you could go back in time, when and why? It's a great question.
So I just thought about, I literally just asked this question to my group last week. So I'll just answer the same way that I answered then. And it was basically, which decade would you choose? Which is kind of the similar question. And almost everybody said that they wouldn't go back. I'm just like, you guys are so lame, and boring.
Answer the question.
Like, yeah, just come on, be fun a little bit, right? So I said that I would go back to the I'd say that I'd go back to the 80s, and just because I was answering on the spot, but like I was thinking about just how interesting and like dynamic of an athlete like Michael Jordan was, and how like greatly he changed and impacted like the game of basketball. And then like growing up, like I knew that, and I knew that he was just like one of the, but I didn't really get a chance to see it, like, and experience it, And so I think that like being able to like be there and like going through that, it's just the same as like knowing how great a band is or like a musician is versus like actually seeing like the genesis of their start and like the transformation of like that process and the progression that they make. And then like seeing them like live in concert, there's just a difference. And so I was thinking like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to like see or like to be involved in like how all of that's happening. So I don't know. I just said really quickly the 80s. Plus like the style was so cool back then.
Right? Yeah, it was good stuff. So what about you guys? When would you go back? I'm thinking about that. Have you seen, do you have ESPN? Have you seen they have a documentary right now about the Jordan and the Bulls, their last run at another championship?
What it's called?
The Last Dance.
Last Dance. Yeah. I've only seen the first episode. I think that there's like 3.
I think it's like 6.
Or 6.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of them.
I have not caught up.
So right now the Bulls are kind of like, they've been a garbage team for a while, but back like in the late 80s into the 90s, I mean, they were like an incredible team.
Right.
So it was that kind of thing. I remember again, like being aware of that. Like I remember my dad especially talking about it, being like, this is amazing. And like knowing that Michael Jordan was the greatest, but like, yeah, he just is.
Yeah. He's just so what?
And that kind of goes by and then that's it.
Yeah.
Now I've always wanted to go back in time because I love history. So I always like thought it'd be so cool to like live like back when there was castles and knights and all this kind of stuff. And I know we romanticize it. And the thing also about me is like I like to be very clean. So like I shower every day and like I like to be clean. Like I'll work on cars and do yard work, but then I want to go get clean. And so Megan has always brought up the point that like you would have hated that. Like, no. I would have been a king at that time or some sort of higher up person who could have like, continued. That's the caveat I would have to have. So I'd go back in time, but if I was going to stay back in that time, I'd have to be, upper something.
Well, like if you could go back and
you have that technology,
yeah,
you should be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. The rules of time travel, based on how we've seen it portrayed in movies and things like that, is you have like the knowledge and information from like where you're at to take back to you. So yeah, there's no way that you wouldn't be able to become successful enough to shower.
That would be my plan. Or just take back that technology. Yeah. Okay, guys, you should try this.
Hey, look at this. Well,
this works out pretty good.
Burned at the stake.
That's also true.
A wizard.
True. Even in America, like in the 1800s, doctors said like it's not healthy to bathe every day. Those are like doctors. So, man's wisdom right there.
What do we know?
What do we
know?
Hope so she go back to the 50s or 40s. Another great era. Absolutely. Fantastic era of just like music.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like Christmas music. We have all Christmas music from like the 1800s-ish, and then it jumps to like the 40s.
Right.
Like, for some reason, those are the two Christmassy times.
Right. Yeah.
I think I would honestly be disappointed with any era I went back to though, because on this side, we look back like fondly at it. Like even now, like I remember living through the 90s. I remember thinking like, kind of a garbage decade. Like it's not that great.
What's so great about the 90s?
Yeah, the style's horrible. But now I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
I kind of look fondly at it now.
Oh man.
Let me see here. Again, likes the time right now. Good. That's a good one too. Good to be in the present. Let's see. Ethan says, first impressions of CBC. How did you hear about us? Well, you're the seasoned veteran compared to me. So you answer that first.
So I did not know anything about Campus Bible Church at all. From I don't know, from the time that I moved. I mean, I've been in Fresno for like a really long time, but even from the time that I moved back when I got out of the Marine Corps until like literally a month before I was hired, I didn't even know that anything about the church. And we were like right down the street. I mean, we've been living down the street from the church for like a long period of time from Maple. And one day, my pastor at the church that I was at called me, and he had mentioned that, hey, like I've got this friend in town. His name's Jim Cece. He's got a position as a youth pastor at like the church. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so sat down with Jim and Kenton, and those two, just sitting down with those two, gave me like literally all of the impression that I needed, and I got a chance to understand pretty much. I got a really good understanding of like the church, how it operated, how like it thinks and moves, and which is really interesting because, you know, as like leaders, when you're leading people, you would want, you know, whatever it is that you're leading to kind of reflect, you know, your perspective of it and stuff like that. But sometimes it doesn't always match up, and it's not an easy thing to be able to navigate. But yeah, I was not disappointed in like anything that like I saw when I got to like campus. It was like, oh man, this is how it is. Like, oh, I wish I would have known that before. You know, I literally got like a great impression of the type of church that it was from meeting with Jim and Kenton, which is kind of interesting because you get two different people with different like personalities, which was nice to see. And so yeah, I don't know. I think that first impressions, it's just. It sounds kind of cliche, but it's like super like welcoming. Like everybody is like really like loving. There's just genuine like care about like people and stuff like that in our church. And that was really just one of my first impressions when I got introduced that Sunday and like, you know, stayed at the foyer and like shook everyone's hand. And it wasn't, you know, after 2 years, it wasn't like fake or phony. It, you know, it's genuine people.
That's the thing. Time really is what shows it. Yeah.
Right. Love each other. Yeah.
Had you already been thinking about ministry at that point?
No. So I was already like, I was you know, bivocational. I was working as a property manager, but I was leading the college group, which we call the college group at New Beginnings. And I was also helping out with like children's ministry and stuff like that. So I was already, you know, for years, I think that I had like officially became like a minister in New Beginnings in 2015. So I was already involved in like, you know, what most people would consider pastoral ministry for like some time, but I just never really assumed that I was going to eventually one day get paid to do it. I just always thought that I was going to do it, you know, at church, and I was always going to have something else that I'd be doing. So
that's a great distinction too. It's ministry isn't just for those of us who do it as a job, like vocationally for pay. Ministry is, you can serve in so many ways.
Yeah.
Sunday school teachers, worship team. I mean, all these different areas of ministry is all ministry.
Yeah.
It's all kingdom.
Absolutely.
You know, first impression. I kind of told you guys already a little story about like how we ended up here. It was all very out of the blue in one way, but also all very like God moving in the other way. To give you like the quick version, we were up at Hume Lake, and we knew that we were going to be making a change, a transition, but we weren't really sure what God was calling us to, what was happen there. And Megan went to school in Germany at Black Forest Academy, a Christian boarding school over there. And up at Hume Lake, she turns around, and back behind her is the guy who was the chaplain while she was at Black Forest Academy like 14 years ago. Haven't seen each other since, you know, just this totally random thing.
Wow.
So strike a conversation, start talking, and they're kind of like, hey, are you looking for something else? And just want to let you know, there's this church called Campus who's looking to hire somebody. And like in Fresno, we're like, well, I don't know, we're not planning on like moving or anything, whatever. Oh, just keep it in mind, kind of a thing. Like, okay. And then I think it was, I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks later, get a phone call from this guy named Jim Cece. And I'm like, who? And he's like, you know, the pastor of Campus Bible Church in Fresno. I'm trying to think like, wait, he's like, well, somehow we figured out the connection. Oh, was this guy that Megan and I had talked to at Hume. And then like from there, we just kind of kept talking. And then it was, I don't know, within like 6 weeks we were here. It was just like, boom. So that's a very abridged version. A lot of stuff of God doing the same kind of thing. Like just talking to Jim. I remember talking to Megan afterwards. I'm like, man, this guy called. And he seems like such like a cool, just like godly, awesome guy. Like he seems like a really cool guy. She's like, well, would you want to like move to Fresno to go there? I'm like, maybe. And then had more conversations after that, of course, and
Correct.
talked to more of the staff and got to know people more. And then first impression, once we came and I got to meet the students and meet people in person, was again this kind of thing of like, wow, this seems cool. I'm always like kind of a skeptical person though, so I was always like, all right, when's that other shoe gonna drop? Like, what's the catch? Like, waiting for it. And maybe the catch is Fresno Summers, but that's totally worth it to be here with you guys. So yeah, great first impression and continuing. Now it's been, I don't know, 7 or so months, something like that, I think. And still great. What do we got? So Janice says that they came to campus about 1.5 years ago, was really impressed with the pastor's welcoming spirit towards our family, felt at home like a week or two after attending.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Sick with it.
That's totally cool.
One of the shepherds asked favorite sport.
Ooh. Well, that's easy. I think basketball. Like it's like the only sport that
It's not even close.
It's not even I'll watch other ones. I'll watch baseball if there's like a team in it that I kind of care about, but I gotta say I just don't. I don't care for it. It's not that exciting to me.
No.
It's like some comedian once said it's like watching the grass grow, but people are in the way. Like, so sorry if you love baseball, but yeah, it's just not. See, the thing about it that I always say with sports, like I've said this about soccer too. Incredible athletes. I'm not saying that they're not incredible athletes, but to me, it's just like not exciting. Mm-hmm. Basketball, I mean, every couple of minutes someone's scoring, every couple of seconds someone's scoring. You got triple-digit scores, and then in baseball you can get up to like 10. That's exciting. Football is fun to watch too, but it's not my favorite. But
nice.
Yeah,
nice. So my favorite sport I always answer this question the same. My favorite sport to watch is football. My favorite sport to play is volleyball.
Mm. Now volleyball is another one that I usually only watch it when it's like the Olympics.
Oh yeah,
that's when it's really like on TV. But it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, because I totally get the basketball thing because it's constantly going. I mean, unless there's like a ball that goes out of bounds or something like that, then like it stops. But other than that, like there's something like continuously happening like the whole time. That's one of the reasons why I enjoy playing volleyball.
Yeah,
there's something always going on until the point ends, and then it starts again, and it just keeps going back.
I like the team aspect too of basketball and also of volleyball.
Yeah,
because it's really, I mean, all sports are obviously team sports, but baseball, you're watching like they're all doing their own thing kind of. But basketball is very much like a fluid thing of you need to know where the other players are, you need to know what they're doing. You have to have a kind of an awareness. There's a loose game plan, but you also have to adapt as you go. And again, I'd say the same would be true looking at volleyball too. It's like everyone's kind of doing their thing in their position, but they also have to adapt constantly because ideally, this is the play we're going to do. This is where the ball's going to go, but it's never the ideal. It's always something else thrown in there.
Yeah, no, you literally cannot play volleyball on your own.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Your losing is one-on-one
right? And even like in the Olympics, like the 2-on-2, like the beach volleyball. Right. And that's like pretty, I mean, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like you said, even with basketball, like you can't, like I think in a baseball game, if you get a good pitcher, like I guess the same thing could be true for volleyball. If you had one person who could serve really well, like maybe they could just serve 20 points. In a baseball game, like you had a good pitcher, like some people wouldn't even be necessary. Like if the pitcher was like good enough, like you needed the pitcher, the catcher, and like if he could make people just hit like pop flies all day, then there's just those three.
It's like when they do like all-star stuff for baseball, and they're doing like the home run derby. Yeah. Like I'll watch that, but like, why don't they just do this all the time? Like this is great. Just like home run. Like that's fun to watch. That's exciting to me. And again, they're all great athletes. I mean, I couldn't do any of those things. I'm not saying I could do better, but Ethan agrees. So Ethan says the gaps in action in baseball are pretty long. That's what I'm saying. But then another Ethan, soccer goes from 0 to 100 quickly. Soccer, again, it's that thing of like.
Yeah, but you have to wait so long.
Yeah.
To get to the 0 to 100, and then you never know. You never know when it's gonna happen. The other thing, like, so you talk about the home run derby. Like, I like watching like PKs.
Okay.
Like, I will go and like watch like
yes
highlight clips of like just penalty kicks, and that stuff is like really exciting.
I told you guys this story before, but like it was the World Cup. I forget what it was, 8 years ago maybe. And so I'll watch. Megan loves soccer. She played soccer growing up. She loves it. So like with the World Cup, I'll watch that. And I forget what the game was, but it went like an hour and a half. It was 0 to 0 still. Which I'm like, okay, come on, like, figure out how to fix this sport because it should not be after an hour and a half, 0 to 0. And then it went like to a half-hour overtime, So 2 hours of play, still 0-0. And so I'm like, well, what happens now? She's like, well, now they're going to line up and do penalty kicks. So after 2 hours, it came down to two guys just kicking balls at each other. And that's how they just do that. Like, cut out everything else that happened because it was unnecessary. So it's, again, they're incredible athletes. Because I forget the averages. I think like an average basketball player, it's, I don't know, 3-4 miles in a game that they do. But the average soccer player is like 7 or 8 or more, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy amount.
Yeah, it's got to be ridiculous.
And talk about like endurance. Like they're on one side and like one guy kicks at the other side and they just turn around and they run all the way back down there. I would be so like, oh, come on.
There you go again. Yeah. No, it's so funny. Just like, soccer's like, the world's sport or whatever, in like being in Cape Town, or, I mean, I'm sure that you probably experienced this in Europe too. Like people like just around the world, like love soccer. Like love. I mean, and they hate that we call it soccer.
Yes.
that's another thing. They hate that we call it soccer. But they love it. And it was kind of funny while I was in Cape Town to like just see how much pride people had about like whatever team that they liked or cheered for or whatever. It's just, I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think too, like soccer is a universal thing because it's, I mean, if a couple kids have a ball, they can start playing. And I mean, they're not going to be like expert at it, but I mean, it's easy to pick up and start playing. It takes a lot of skill to get really good at it, but it's something that people can just like mess around with. It's got this kind of universal factor to it.
Yeah, like so, in order to really play football, you need a football. You need like certain skills to be able to play effectively. It's not as easy to learn. In order to play basketball, you have to have a hoop and like a court. In order to play volleyball, you have to have a net and like some other people.
Yeah.
Soccer, you literally can just like grab a ball and like go play.
I think everyone's the thing too. If you don't have a ball, like they'll grab a rock or like a water bottle or something to start kicking it around. So you can. It's kind of that like you can almost play it anywhere, anytime.
I grew up playing soccer. That was the first sport that I played. I think I started playing soccer when I was like 4 or 3. And so I fancy myself like a decent soccer player. I played all the way up until I was a sophomore in high school. When I went to Haiti on a mission trip, I played with like some like little Haitian kids, and I'm talking about like 5 and 6 year olds like schooling me in soccer. And we're playing like with this flat ball. We're playing on like this dirt. You can't even call it a field, where there's like a tree in the middle of it, and there's like rocks like sticking out of the ground. The goal that we were playing with was like the size of this table, and it went like up like maybe 3 feet and across, and then went down. Like that was literally like the goal that we were playing on. And these kids are like ridiculously good with this flat ball, and like I'm stepping on like rocks and I'm complaining, and majority of the kids are playing like barefoot.
Totally.
And then just like looking like Ronaldinho or
looking at you like, what are you doing?
Messi.
Come on.
And I'm so embarrassed right now. I'm so glad nobody's watching me get schooled by these kids. But yeah, it's just,
I think it's like a big cultural thing too. I remember like being in Germany, it was during the World Cup, and like their cities like shut down. People were just like gathered at restaurants, bars and stuff, just like in the streets watching this. And it was like 2 PM. I'm like, shouldn't people be working? Like, what's going on? But it was just like, it was Germany. The World Cup was in Germany. Everyone was going to watch it.
Yeah.
And like, they shut everything down.
Everything closed.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting, but man. So I don't dislike soccer, but favorite for me, basketball. Let's see what we got. We got Alyssa says volleyball is pretty great. Yes, this is true. Giant fans. Ethan's a Giant fan. Volleyball. Can I give a random fact? Sure. It's got to be random, huh? Let's see. I mean, most of mine are random, but just how random. Okay. And Israel, under like where the Wailing Wall is, the Western Wall, it's a retaining wall, the only kind of part left over from Solomon's Temple. There is a stone under there. You can go and see it. And it's so huge and so massive, they have no idea how they got it up into place. There's all kinds of ideas of like levers and things and this kind of stuff, but I forget the size of it and like the actual specifics because I don't remember specifics. But you can look it up. There's this massive, and like Megan, I took a picture. Like she was at one end of it, I was at the other end, and there's this huge, ridiculously crazy thing that they somehow got into place and put there. And
give me an object that I can compare the size of this stone to,
like
roughly.
I mean, I can't remember the distance wise, but it would be. You guys can't see this, but like from where we're sitting to like that fence was like probably about that size, if not further.
of a stone.
A stone, yeah. And Megan was like far away, and I took a picture, and she's like little, and it's just one huge, long, massive stone, which they had to like quarry from somewhere else. They had to move it there, which like, how do they do that? And then it was actually up. It wasn't like the bottom stone. It was up in the wall, and somehow they did all that.
So I would say that distance that Pastor Michael just described is at least 3 cars length.
Yeah,
if not more, maybe 4 cars length.
I think the stone. I'm going to be totally wrong because this is like
That's
8-9 years ago, 30 feet maybe less, but I can be
No,
totally
it's- I think
exaggerating.
it's more. I think it's
But I mean,
more.
it was crazy. And our tour guide was like, "Yeah, they have no idea," and just kept like moving on. I'm like, "Well, I need more information about this. Like, what do you mean they have no idea?" There's a lot of stuff like that. Like they look at different things, they don't know how they did those things. Like Stonehenge, the stones came from miles away. How they get them there? How they get them into place? All these so-called, primitive people that did some pretty cool stuff. So
That's
there's
cool.
something random for you.
That's cool.
Maybe God moved it. Hey, who knows? Wouldn't be too hard for him. All right. Well, any other? I think we got all the questions that were asked. Oh, we're like almost out of time. Well, I feel like because you did the sermon, I feel like we got to do a little sermon recap. I mean,
Well,
hopefully you guys saw it.
I said everything that I.
Right. If you didn't see it, you need to go on and watch it. It's on the church website. I pointed up there because that's where we watch it on our TV. It's on the church website, but Will did a fantastic job.
Thank you, man.
Really, I mean, I think
Appreciate it.
especially in today's time, I just loved how timely it was.
Yeah.
They wrote down so much stuff of just like, man, that applies to right now. It applies to any time, but it applies especially to right now, Yeah. I think the things that really jumped out to me was when you talked about that attitude of like, okay, so if you didn't see it, and even if you did,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, he talks about the 10 lepers that Jesus healed, and that idea of gratefulness versus being thankful, of actually like thanking God.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a good reminder, because I think we all on a regular basis have this idea that, well, yeah, of course I'm grateful for the things I have. Like I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my house, for my food, all this stuff. But do we actually thank God for those things?
Yeah.
And so you had those 10 lepers who Jesus healed. And I never thought about it this way, but like Will said, they probably all were grateful, but only one came back and actually said, thank you.
Right.
It's like, whoa, like, mic drop. Like that really just was like, yeah, there's so many things that I am grateful for, but do I actually say to God, thank you, God, for that thing?
Right. And like we see like Jesus's response to like even the one who came back and gave thanks. He wasn't like, oh yeah, you're welcome. He's like, where are the numbers?
Yeah, where's other guys?
Like how come those other, like yeah, like you're welcome, but like I would just appreciate you showing that gratitude, in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know. It was a huge. I mean, I was convicted, and like I was going through like my sermon prep and reading that myself. Because I'm just like, yeah, man, how many times am I just like, yeah, like thank you for these like different things that I have or receive or just understanding about who God is, and it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's certainly not enough. And I think that like, oh yeah, like God knows, like He knows that I'm thinking. He knows my heart, and again, the whole point of the illustration was I just can't imagine that the 9 were ungrateful, that they didn't feel like some gratitude. They just didn't express it or show it.
Yeah.
So
like again, especially even with the situation we're facing right now, there's probably lots of things we're grateful for. Grateful for health, grateful for being able to talk to you guys and do all these things. But it's just like, if I actually in a given day, which I'm trying to think of like logistically like doing this in my life, and just like instead of just having a grateful attitude, of actually thanking God for those things. Because I mean, otherwise I'm just like thankful to what? Nothing, the universe, like, it's like but everything good.
Yourself.
Yeah. We're told in scripture, everything good comes from God. And so like actually thinking of like each little good thing, like, man, I had clean socks this morning to put on. Thanks, God. Because even that, we had a washer and dryer we could use. We had water coming into our house. It kind of expands out from there. It's like this ripple effect of just so many things to be thankful for.
Yeah, and I think that what the main point of like the whole sermon was like communion with God. But I think that having hearts that express gratitude for all kinds of different things, it helps us understand more about what that relationship should be like, and kind of be in tune with that time that we're spending with Him, and really how intimate that relationship should be. Like when I can. And I said this during the sermon, but you could spend like hours just on like Thanksgiving, like just literally like for all of like the little things if you thought about. And what that does is it changes your heart.
Yeah.
You know, it shifts, you know, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how, you know, focused on all of the other things that you don't have or don't do or didn't get or wanted or all of those things. And it shifts it and kind of aligns it more with God, who he is, what he's done for you, and all of the reasons why, the many reasons why you have to say thank you.
And I think those things become a pattern too. So the more we think about being thankful to God for something, we're connecting to God.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we do that, the more we'll be connecting to him in other ways too, to bring requests to him, to bring repentance to him. You know, the more we build that connection, the more we kind of build that pathway, so to speak, the more normal it becomes for us.
Yeah.
And we can have that attitude like you're talking about, just constant communion with God.
Yeah.
I think all of us want that, but it's always this question like, well, how? How do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
I think things like that are ways that we just keep doing that. It's the little things, just keep, and eventually it becomes more normal.
Right.
Which I think is a difficult thing, but like any relationship, right? So you meet someone new, like you asked about, like when we first came to campus, when we both did that, Will a couple of years ago and me a few months ago, everyone was new, every relationship was new, but time and just like the little things over time, you get to know people.
Yeah.
And with God, the same thing is if we just invest time, little by little by little, it grows. It becomes a relationship. We always kind of want that, like, well, I read my Bible today and I don't feel super close to God. Like, I guess I shouldn't do it anymore. Like, we want like instant results.
Or
like,
like,
right
yeah,
now.
or I tried it, you know, twice.
Yeah.
You know,
I prayed yesterday and today, and I
it
didn't
didn't
really do it.
work out.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
like that 9-year-old was like, yeah, I read it.
Yeah, I've read the Bible 3 times. No one can teach me anything. I got it.
I don't need anything else.
It's that constant just faithfulness, and
Absolutely.
little things too. I think it isn't. I think sometimes we think of like has to be these big long marathon prayer sessions, which if you got the time for that, go for it.
Yeah.
But I think throughout the day, doing that.
Just throwing them up, lifting up.
Yeah.
One little small, like, oh yeah, like literally. I mean, now I'm not great at this, but another thing that I said in the sermon was we talk about like pray without ceasing. Like I'm trying to get better at like just praying in the moment that like somebody asks me to pray. So anytime I say that I'm going to pray for someone, I'm trying to change my like, you know, verbiage. And it's not possible for everyone. And if you don't have time, then, you know, you do it whenever you can. But like as time allows, instead of saying like, I'm going to pray for you, I just want to respond by saying praying. And in that moment, I want to just stop and pray. And again, it doesn't need to be like, you know, me on my knees, me with my hands clasped together, my eyes closed, my head bowed. Like if that's what prayer is, if that's the only thing that prayer is, then yeah, it's always going to be hard for you to like pray in the moment or pray without ceasing. And in fact, it'd be impossible to pray without ceasing if that's what prayer was. But what if prayer was just this constant communion that we had with God all the time, like throughout the day? Like any time that we need to say something, we literally just said it and not just wait until like, oh, I have to wait till like my prayer time, or I have to wait until I get into like my war room. You know, it's okay to have a war room and it's okay to have a prayer time, but there's nothing wrong with also praying just like, thank you, God, for this, you know, or God bless so-and-so, whose family is going through a difficult time right now.
Yeah. The same thing when you brought that up, like a few months back, I started doing the same kind of thing of like thinking, I read in some book that was saying like, instead of saying, I'll pray for you, what if you prayed right then? And sometimes you can't with the person. I mean, there's reasons. So even in your head though, you can right then. But I remember even the responses, it's so funny if people are surprised by it.
Yeah.
They're caught off guard. Because what we're used to saying is a very Christian-y thing. Like, you know, we do, of course, like the, how are you? Good. Okay, you know, there's always that there's a normal human thing. And then oftentimes what we say, and we mean well by it, is I'll pray for you. And sometimes we forget, let's be honest, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we actually do follow up on it later on. But shifting that around to just be like, hey, can I pray with you right now? I never had anyone say no, but I always had people be like, sure.
Yeah. Usually we get that pause, like, you know, they're like, thinking about what I need to do right now. If I'm okay with you, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's, I mean, how much better to actually do it than honestly, like forget about it or whatever might happen. And that's the cool thing too with God. We have that constant avenue of connection.
Absolutely.
And there's so many times, like even just working from home lately, it's been different. Like when I was in the office, I would often think of something I want to tell Megan and I'd forget.
Yeah.
So I go home, I'm like, man, there's something I wanted to tell you. I can't remember what it was. But now I'm like doing something and something comes up. I'm like, hey, Megan, hey, like, and I tell her right then. And there's like that instant, I can do it right away. But we have that with God all the time.
Yeah.
We can constantly just a request, a thought, whatever. We can constantly, instantly go to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there can be definitely times we carve out for prayer, certainly. But we can also just do it all day long.
All day long.
Yeah. So like I said, check that sermon out. It was great. And God definitely used Will in a big way. So check it out. And some of you are commenting as well about Gannon said, thanks for opening up the word. And Ethan says, I think pride can be a reason to not give thanks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Giving thanks implies one reliance on someone else. Totally.
Yeah. So true.
Matt says it's amazing the reaction people have to pray over them in the moment if the environment allows. It's true. And and even people are usually surprised by it, but usually afterwards people have said like, oh, wow, like, thank you.
Thank you.
I was talking to someone from Hume, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do for summer and stuff. And they called and just said, hey, just want to let you know, we're not ignoring the situation. We're trying to figure it out. So I was talking to this girl in registration. And I asked her, like, well, are you doing a lot of these calls? She's like, yeah, we're calling everybody to let them know. So I said, well, how's that going? She's like, oh, it's been stressful. And people have been understanding, but it's just, we don't really know what's happening, just like everyone else. So, well, okay, can I just pray with you real quick? She's like, oh, wow, sure. And then afterwards, she's like, thank you so much. She's like, that was great. Just like simple little thing. It's,
right. Yeah.
Matt said in Mexico, the first 2 years is how we plan to pray for people. And I've tried to carry that into my normal life. It's challenging. It is definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
It's something that we constantly need to get better at.
Yeah.
Nobody arrives at like perfect communion with God this side of heaven.
No.
Constantly working at it.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's like it's progress that we continually make. And I said this, it's funny because, the disciples asked Jesus, like, will you teach us to do this? It's obviously they asked to be taught because they didn't know how to do it. And then Paul commands us, as I said in the sermon on Sunday, to do this. And we wouldn't need to be commanded if we were if it was natural.
Yeah.
If we naturally did it.
It wouldn't need to be a command.
Yeah, it wouldn't need to be a command, right? So the reason why we're told to do it is because it's not something that we would naturally do. It's not something that just naturally comes even easy to us.
Yeah.
But we do it because it's the will of God for our lives. And so even though it's not easy and it doesn't come natural, we know that it's good for us. And so we struggle in the midst of like trying to get better at it regularly. And it's never gonna be perfect this side of heaven. So.
Yeah, it takes work. It's like there's an analogy that I always use because I just love the picture of it. But it's like the idea of rolling like a barrel up a hill.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to constantly do it little by little, and if you step away, then it goes back. So it's like that continual forward progress, and that's how you continually go forward.
Yeah.
It takes effort, it takes work, but just keep moving forward one step at a time, and you make progress. Yeah,
it's good.
So we'll do another Q&A like this, guys. That was fun talking to you. As we always say, hope you're doing well. Hope as you are continuing to shelter in place, that's, I don't know, you find something good in the midst of it all. Plenty to be thankful for.
Yeah.
Got plenty to be thankful for.
Yeah. Seriously. If you need help with any of that, then don't be shy to reach out. I think that the Christian like challenge is always that like, I'm supposed to feel like really good. This is one thing I didn't mention in the sermon, and I'm sorry that we're going over time a little bit today. But like the short verse in the Bible is Jesus wept, but the shortest verse in the Greek New Testament is rejoice always. And sometimes that rejoice always makes it seem like we're always supposed to be like happy, or we're never sad, or we're never depressed. But literally, Jesus wept. So that means that he of all people was like sad and and experienced some of the human emotions that happen to us. And so while going through this, my point is that we don't have it all together. We don't have it all figured out. We're not all chipper and cheery and like just happy all the time. Obviously I shared some of my personal story with some of the things that are happening with my wife, and that's been really challenging. The rejoicing though comes from like who God is, and the thanksgiving comes from like this time of walking with him and understanding more about who he is. So if you have a challenge with that, if you're having challenges with rejoicing always, if you're having challenges with giving thanks in like what we're going through right now, if you're having even challenges with obviously praying, then like please don't be shy about reaching out to us, because we'd love to help you. We'd love to, just talk with you about some of like the realistic things that have happened to us and how we've kind of overcome some of those things, and even some of the challenges that we still struggle with today, and how we continue pressing on and moving forward in the midst of all those things happening.
Which all that's normal, feeling those things. I mean, that's all, like I was talking to someone the other day and they're like, well, I know I shouldn't be sad. It's like, oh no, I mean, you're missing out on stuff. Like, yeah, Because notice, like even that verse, rejoice always. It doesn't say be happy always.
Right.
Or like in James when it says count it all joy, it doesn't say count it all happiness.
Right.
Sometimes we're not happy, and that's okay. But one thing I loved about what you said too is that we're not rejoicing in our circumstances, we're rejoicing in who God is.
Mhm.
And that never changes. God is constant, God is always good. Our circumstances change, and they frankly sometimes they just suck. But God is always good, and God is always there, and God is always faithful. So we can rejoice always in that, even in the midst of circumstances that aren't great.
Right.
So it's that perspective shift again. It's hard, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
And like Pastor Will said, all that stuff that you're facing, being sad, being down, being any of those things, like that's all normal. That's all part of this. And you don't need to hide that. We can talk about it. We can be there for each other, support each other, pray for each other, pray in the moment for each other.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the beauty of the bodies. We don't have to go through any of this alone.
Absolutely.
So we're there for you guys. You guys can be there for each other as well. Reach out at any point. We'll get through this together.
Yep.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
All right. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for hanging out. And bye.